So the second component of a critical reading statement is the Precis statement, and this Precis statement does identifies four things in the source that you're reading. It identifies the author's claim. It identifies the evidence used to support the claim. The author's purpose in writing the article and what the author's hope is that their audience will do after reading. And then who the primary audience is and how the author used the rhetorical appeals, ethos, logos, and pathos to manipulate that response from his or her reader. So the first sentence in a Precis statement is a paragraph, okay? So I say 4 sentences, but it could be a little bit longer depending on the type of article that you're reading. The first sentence gives the basic facts. Who's the author or authors? What is the title of the article or the chapter in the book? What year was it published? And then what is the point? I say the conclusion that the author or authors are presenting as plausible to their audience. Now, conclusion in this presentation does not mean the last paragraph of a sentence. It means the message that the author is trying to convince his readers of. Notice that in a Precis statement, you are only going to use Precis terminology of claims, which is controversial, or asserts, which is not as controversial, argues when there's kind of a volley between people who agree and disagree, and then proposes when an author actually gives solutions. Please do not give the verb proposes unless you are stating the solutions that the author is presenting. The second sentence in the Precis statement is the evidence. So the author has a point, a conclusion that they're making, and they have reasons that back up that point. And those reasons are supported by evidence. So this is where you're going to state, and I'm going to ask you to try to find 3 ways that or 3 reasons that the author presents and the evidence that it supports those reasoning. If you get an article that says the 7 ways to make $1 million, and they give you a list of reasons or suggestions for you to do, and there is no support as to those things to do, there's no support that says that this will get you to be in $1 million, this is not an academically credible source. So you need to stop. You do need to find a source that has a conclusion, it has a message to convince its readers. If you have a sheet that has a bunch of historical facts, this does not qualify to write a critical reading response on, because the author that you're looking at doesn't have a point they're trying to convince a person of. So make sure that you have an academically credible source that has an opinion, and that opinion is backed up by reasonings with evidence, okay? And you're going to identify the kind of evidence that they have and give yourself some specifics in order to remember the studies or the interviews or the statistics. All right. Again, bold the verb supports or evidences. I do not care which one that you use. Okay, so the third sentence is the purpose, and then in order to, which means a result. So you notice a little picture of the person winding up the person in front of them, and this really is what sentence C is about. It's about what motivated the author to write this article in order to influence the audience in some way. This sentence is not a repeat of the first sentence that states the conclusion. This is very much your speculation. Why do you think that the author wrote their audience on this topic, on this issue? Why do you think the author is trying to convince them of this? So you're giving the author's purpose, and you're also doing an order to phrase. What is the effect the author intends on that audience? What is it that this particular author expects this audience to do? So in order to write the sentence C, you really have to understand where the article is published. So you pause, and take a look. What's the name of the newspaper? What's the name of the magazine or the journal? And then you're going to have to profile the type of readers that read this particular newspaper or magazine. Do not say everybody reads this. It's for everybody. It is not, okay? So, and then you take a look at the audience that that particular magazine or journal is aimed at, and you have a better understanding of who the author is trying to convince, okay? Are they educated? Are they not educated? Are they business owners? Are they tech people, working in a company? Are they salesmen trying to sell you something? So this is really pretty important. So just remember that sentence C is not a repeat of sentence A. Okay, then sentence D is who is that primary audience. So you identified it in sentence C, but here you're going to state it. It's going to be the primary audience is readers of the Wall Street Journal or Mother Jones or what else? The Journal of, Psychology. So take a look at where something is published. And then who reads that? Academics, doctors, business owners, businessmen, investors. So think of the kind of audience that reads it. And then you have to kind of remember as you're reading through is the author being very logical? Are they being very emotional? Are they really trying to stand on credibility? So then you're going to identify the rhetorical appeal that the author used in order to compel this audience to believe what they have to say. Okay, so that's the Precis statement, and now I'm giving you an example of Kapner article, and I'm not going to read this to you, but you can pause the video and you can read it. So this is an example. Notice that I gave the sentence letters A, B, C, and D. Notice that I bolded the words of claims, evidences, purpose in order to the primary audience, and then the appeals, logic, and then even pathos in parentheses. And I do expect for you to do that. It helps me being able to read them. Here's the second one. I give you the another example of the second article. Okay.